Hey, welcome inside another edition of TinChattin, everyone. Alongside play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne TinCaps, Mike Maahs. My name is Peter Hood. In case you're new here, this is the part of the show where we talk all things Fort Wayne TinCaps baseball. Mike, we are filming this on a Thursday night. Beautiful Parkview Field behind us. They say one of the great things about baseball is you see something new every day. And Mike, we witnessed history on Thursday night. Not in a good way for the Fort Wayne TinCaps, though.
Yeah, the TinCaps lost the game on Thursday night to, you want to call it arch rival South Bend by a final score of 3-0. But the historic part of the evening was the fact that the TinCaps were no hit. Only 3 runners reached base in the entire 9-inning contest. And to the best of everyone's knowledge, it is the first time in the history of the Fort Wayne franchise that they lost, that they were no hit at home, be it at Memorial Stadium or here at Parkview Field. And it was just a tough night.
And you mentioned it, obviously, the call-up of Augustine Ruiz. It's a little bit bittersweet in that obviously you're happy to see Augustine rewarded for the great season he's had. And he was a guy who, had he completed the season here in Fort Wayne, very well could have chased and given a serious run at that Fernando Tatis Jr. single-season home run record. But he now gets called up, and now a TinCaps offense that has been struggling of late is missing arguably its best and most productive player in the middle of that lineup.
Well, Goody had 15 home runs and 56 runs batted in. He was top 5 in the league in both of those categories. But again, he's trying to make it up the ladder. And from what team president Mike Nutter told me earlier today, he had an outstanding game in San Antonio last night being Wednesday night. And so we're happy for Ruiz. And now it's time for the other players. You know, we've always heard about this next man up mentality, and it's time for others to make a case for themselves.
Obviously, nights like tonight are frustrating for managers like Anthony Contreras, who is our guest on TinChattin this week. But seeing guys like Augustine Ruiz get called up, that's what gives guys like Contreras joy. And you'll hear us talk a little bit about that in our conversation, about seeing guys like Fernando Tatis make it all the way to the big leagues. But we begin our conversation with, before AC was a manager, you may remember he was a player here in Fort Wayne. He was a Fort Wayne Wizard back in 2008. And we begin with what his initial impressions of the Summit City were when he touched down here 13 years ago.
I remember the day I flew into Fort Wayne. Obviously, getting to the airport, I flew from Lincoln, Nebraska to Fort Wayne. And I remember it felt like a long drive. Obviously, we weren't downtown yet. We were still over at Coliseum. And it felt like a really long drive at that point. And I got to the stadium, and actually the first person I met when I got out of the cab was Mike Nutter. I remember him wearing glasses. I remember him walking me to Doug DeCenzo's office and meeting my manager for the first time, and then getting into the clubhouse and getting situated and getting out to BP to join that team. And still to this day, I still am friends and connected with a lot of those guys I played with. Doug DeCenzo is actually here in town right now, so it's fun to see him and, kind of talk about the old memories that we used to have and the things we went through. Yeah, it was quick, but definitely memorable.
For those who didn't get to see you play back in your Wizards days, kind of describe your game for us. What were your biggest strengths as a baseball player, and what would AC the manager think of AC the player?
Good question. I prided myself. I wasn't a fast guy by any means. I played good defense. I could play shortstop. When I was playing for the Wizards, I was playing third, second, short, and I always pride myself with my defense. So I took a lot of pride in that, and I played good. I was a reliable, defender. I was a guy that could put the ball in play. I didn't strike out too much, but I also didn't walk too much. And I think that ended up hurting me later on in my career of just getting on base. But, I was, according to myself and what I think I was a team player. I understood the business of baseball by that point, going through being released and being a free agent and playing independent ball and getting picked up. I kind of knew my role. And I think that's what's helped me, get to where I am now is I started kind of concentrating on helping other people around me rather than just solely focusing on myself. And that's how I would want. That's how I want the guys that I'm coaching now to be.
Obviously, you've also had a chance here as a manager now to work with several guys who are playing in the big leagues now. I was just looking at the box scores the other day. I saw Patino was pitching for the Rays. Weathers pitched for the Padres yesterday. Obviously, we know about Fernando and all those guys. Let's go back to 2017, because obviously that was a special team and a special group for you. And at what point, when Fernando Tatis, when you saw him play, like at what point did you know, all right, this dude's going to be a special player? Like this guy's got superstar potential.
The one thing that kind of solidified it for me, where I knew like this guy was different than the others, was the way his mind worked. He thought about the game. He saw the game happen before it happened. Obviously, his talent is going to make it a little bit easier. His speed, his arm, his bat, things like that were obviously going to help him out tremendously. But the way his mind worked, and the questions that he would ask, and the way he would, think about stuff when I would ask him questions about the game, set him apart from the rest of the group. And especially at 18 years old, for him to be thinking the way he did, the way he saw the game, the things he would ask, told me that he was a special player. And guys like that, you kind of let them just go and do their thing. You make sure that they're under control. They don't do anything to hurt themselves. But for the most part, you let a guy like that go and play the game, and he had a great 2017 with us.
Yeah. Is there anything as a manager? Is there anything more satisfying than watching your guys get to that level and watching them succeed?
No, that's the ultimate goal. That's what we're here to do, is to develop these kids to, live out their dream, get to the major leagues. And not just get to the major leagues. And that's obviously the ultimate goal that everybody wants to see. But everybody has a different potential. And one guy's potential could be to get to AAA and play at that level. And the next guy's talent level can max out at AA. So for us as coaches and managers, like, our goal is to maximize their potential, if you were on the team, I would maximize your potential, or try to maximize your potential as high as you could get. And if that was high A, AA, or AAA, then so be it. Like, that's our ultimate goal.
I hate to tell you, AC, I think my potential was little league. I think I reached my potential.
You did it. And that's what God gave you to do. And you made it. So good for you, man.
Hopefully you, the viewer, enjoyed our little chat with AC. And again, thanks to him for taking some time out of his busy day for us. Mike, as we look ahead now, back on the road next week, obviously huge 3 games coming up here as we talk on Thursday night. Game Friday, game Saturday, game Sunday here at Parkview Field. You got to get at least 2 of these things, probably 3 if you want to stay in the hunt, and then you're back on the road next week.
Danny Den's getting the call Friday night. Tonight, as our viewers are seeing this. Yeah. And then you're right. 3 games with South Bend here at home. The day off Monday, which I think the players will enjoy. And it's back on the road Tuesday, going back to suburban Grand Rapids to take on the West Michigan Whitecaps.
That's Mike Maahs, play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne TinCaps. Mike, thanks as always for doing this, and we'll see you again next Friday.
Yes, and more than likely we would be back at the station, but hopefully next week we can talk about an upswing for the TinCaps, and hopefully they'll get back on the winning track.
Yeah, and as always, appreciate all of you out there joining us, and hope you'll do so again next Friday. Until then, stick around. We got more coming up in the locker room after this break. Colts going to open preseason play tomorrow against the Carolina Panthers right here on Fox 55. We'll have a preview of that game coming up next.